All right, so now we're going to talk about another variation of basketball chess, and this is player movement variations. Now, there's so many different ways to experiment with different types of movement. I want you guys to have fun with it. Do whatever you want to do for the most part. All right, so there's different things for it, and I'll share like three different variations, but there's so many more things you can do. So you know how normally in the original basketball chess instructions, the offense gets three spaces to move their guys and the defense gets two spaces to move all of their players. All right. So this first variation, we can move each offensive player three spaces. All right. So for this turn, you can move this guy three spaces. One, two, three. Another guy, one, two, three. One, two, three. One, two, three. And one, two, and three. All right. And the defense gets to move each of their players two spaces. So let's say they move two spaces here. One, two, one, two, one, two. They don't have to move the full two spaces if they don't want to. Just what they can do. And one, two. All right. So let's say you want to do that, and you get to experiment it, and you get to have more fluid player movement for each of your guys to get each of your guys moving without the ball, which I think is great. So let's say he takes a shot or whatever, and boom, knocks it down. Easy 3-point shot, bucket. All right. So another variation that you can do. Let's say that the black team has the ball now. Let's say another thing you can do for player movement is by rolling this 12-sided die, and that tells you how many spaces you can move each turn. All right, so this is really crazy, but it adds a lot of variation to the game. All right, so we're gonna have them set up some random offense and defense real quick. Let's say a 2-3 zone, traditional defense. All right, so what happens is they roll this little die, and it's a 10, so they get to move 10 spaces between all of their five players. All right, so they can move here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then they can move here 9, 10, and that's their turn. All right, and then the defense will then roll this die as well. Whenever they get 2, so they can move 2 spaces. All right, so they can move this guy here 1, and then move this person over 2, which is not enough to get to there, which allows this person to make the pass, which they will get a good pass, and then boom, a shot can happen or whatever. This is not a good one, but hey, that allows different player movement. All right, so now the last variation I'm going to share today, but there's also a couple more you can do, is having each offense and defensive player get three spaces each. So this allows more of a defensive mindset, more opportunities to get steals and blocks. If each player is manned up, man to man, and you get to move the same number of spaces as the offense does. All right, so here it makes it a lot harder for for the offense to try to set up something. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then the defense will move that 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's say they move 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and this guy is going to stay there. So you get to experiment it. You can try to shoot shots or whatever, even if it's contested, and you can add that and see what happens. So yeah, try it out. There are so many different ways to move your players or whatever. As long as you and your opponent agree to whatever, you guys can do whatever you want. So yeah, check it out and see what you guys think.